In our world, it often happens that a tiny issue can weigh heavily on someone's heart, turning into a deep source of sorrow. Yet there are also people who manage to face enormous troubles with calmness and strength. They don't collapse under the weight of pain. Instead, they expand their hearts so much that sadness has no space to linger. Today's story reminds us that when we keep our hearts small, even the smallest troubles can make life feel unbearable. But when we learn to open our hearts wide, even the hardest days become easier to endure. So as you listen, try to see a reflection of your own life within the story. This is not just a tale to hear. It's one to think about. Once there lived a young man named Ryan, who was deeply unhappy with his life. He carried a constant heaviness inside him, believing nothing ever went right. One quiet afternoon, Ryan stopped by a small cafe in his town to have a cup of tea. His thoughts were clouded with worry. He had no job. His family was pressuring him, and his future seemed frighteningly uncertain. Sitting in the corner with his cup, he stared at nothing, lost in his troubles. At a nearby table, a few elderly men were having a lively chat. Though Ryan wasn't trying to eavesdrop, their voices carried clearly across the room. One man said, "You know that old man who lives beyond the hills? He seems ordinary, but people say he's full of wisdom. My son was struggling badly, but after talking to him, he completely changed." Another man nodded. "Yes, they say just speaking with him can ease your heart." Ryan's attention sharpened. If that's true, he thought, maybe he can help me too. My life is falling apart. Maybe his words could bring me some peace. That evening, as the sun began to set, Ryan quietly made his way toward the hills, following the path that led to the old man's home. After a long walk, he finally arrived at a small, simple house. He knocked gently and said, "Grandpa, I have so many problems. My heart feels heavy all the time. Please tell me how I can find happiness." The wise old man listened carefully, saying nothing. Without a word, he turned and walked away. Ryan stood there, puzzled but patient. A few minutes later, the old man returned, carrying a glass of water and a small bowl filled with salt. Handing them to Ryan, he said, "Take a handful of this salt and put it in the glass, then drink." Although unsure of the reason, Ryan did as he was told. He took a sip and immediately made a face. "It tastes terrible," he said. "All I can taste is salt." The old man smiled faintly. "Now take another handful," he said, "and come with me." They walked together to a nearby lake, the air still and peaceful. "Now," said the old man, "throw that salt into the lake." Ryan tossed the salt into the water. "Good," the old man continued. "Now take a sip from the lake." Ryan cupped his hands, drank the cool water, and looked surprised. "It tastes fine. I don't taste any salt at all." The old man placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and said, "Son, pain in life is like salt. Not too much, not too little. The amount of suffering we feel depends on how large our heart is. If your heart is like a small glass, even a little pain will make your whole life taste bitter. But if your heart is like a vast lake, the same pain will dissolve into it and hardly affect you." He continued softly, "The glass and the lake represent patience. If your patience is small, small problems will seem enormous. But if your patience is vast, even great hardships won't break you. Everyone faces difficulties. No one in this world lives without pain. Just as we can't understand joy without knowing sadness, we can't grow in life without facing challenges." He looked into Ryan's eyes and said, "When you think only about your problems, your heart shrinks and life begins to feel full of suffering. If a little salt can turn a glass of water bitter, imagine what happens when your heart is small. So when life gives you pain, don't become small like the glass, but become large like the lake. Only then will you find peace and happiness." Ryan stood there quietly, the old man's words echoing in his mind. For the first time in a long while, his heart felt lighter. If this story touched your heart, share it with others, because sometimes one story can change how someone sees their whole life. Thank you.